All right, happy Wednesday night, everybody. Welcome to the broadcast coming to you from the Arctic Air Studios. Wasn't as hot today as it was the last few days, but it was humid, and humidity will make your air conditioner work really hard. Call the Bear if it's not getting it done. Callbear.com. They'll take care of you. Arctic Air. All right, we got stuff to do on a Wednesday. Overrated, underrated, rated right. That's on the website. You saw that earlier today when you went to the website at theraiderland.com. I will give you a few things to sound off on that. You can bring us during the podcast. You can give us things for me to rate. You can give me topics and say, hey, Hyatt, what do you think? Is this overrated, underrated, or rated right? We have the passing of Willie Maye, the greatest baseball player of all time, in my opinion. Who's yours? And then who's the greatest baseball player in your lifetime? So we can do that. We can have a little fun with that for the younger folks out there. The greatest baseball player you think in your lifetime. And then finally, so the news came out yesterday, late yesterday. Mark Adams is reuniting, and it feels so good. Peaches and Herb. Peaches. I never got Peaches. I think we knew who Peaches was, but was it Herb or Herb? Anyways, it feels so good. Do y'all still care about that deal? For the Tech fans, do you still care about Adams and Beard and whatever, or do you not? All of that tonight on the broadcast. So let's get it going in 3 and 2 and 1. Good evening, West Texans, all you good, fine, friendly folks out there who wish you were. I'm Ryan Hyatt, theraiderland.com. All the cool stuff is waiting for you at the website. And we are brought to you tonight by Gators Bayou at Slide Road. That's right. They've got great patio this time of year. Bands, late in the week, whatever, like I think Thursday and then Friday, Saturday. Check that out. Awesome patio. You got hot Cajun food, you got cold drinks, and all the games are on TV. You can check it out there at Gators Bayou. Great supporters of Texas Tech. Jimmy Burns, our man, Jimmy. How you doing? Top Yimmy. We're also brought to you by Kevin McAlpin, the official chiropractor of Raiderland. Not his slogan, but if your facts out of whack, don't call a quack, call Kevin Mack. I still love saying that. Give him a holler. He's a little bit laid up here in the next few weeks, maybe. If you can't get in, he's got a little thing going on. Got a whole surgery thing, Physician, heal thyself. But he'll get you taken care of no matter what. Boot City, 1 money 7 mile outside the West Loop on 19th Street, handles all of our Western wear apparel. And then, of course, United Supermarkets takes care of the chat line, all the communications, whether you are on YouTube. We'd love to hear from the YouTube people. Let's hear from the YouTube people tonight. YouTube people, you can share this. You can tell us, hey, the audio is good, the video is good. Even if you don't have anything intelligent to say, we want to hear from you. We want to hear from the Twitter people. Lots of Twitter people. Got a lot of Twitter people. United Supermarkets will make that happen for you. And then Facebook. Yeah, we get a lot of Facebook people. Facebook Live. We ask you to do one thing. Subscribe to all of our channels if you can. You don't have to watch everything on YouTube, but subscribe, help drive the numbers for our great clients, help grow the audience. Same thing on Facebook. Maybe you're a YouTube guy or a Twitter guy, but go to our Facebook page, like it, subscribe to it. All right, let's have some baseball talk tonight. Let's have a little basketball. Let's have whatever else on your mind. By the way, it looks like Tennessee is on to the title game. They have taken care of Florida State, and then earlier today, Kentucky got smoked by Florida. Florida and A&M top of the first right now, scoreless. 3 games today. They're at the College World Series. I really liked Florida going in. They were a preseason high pick. They didn't really perform to it. Holy cow! Did you see the foul ball Caglione hit today? Hit went down the right field line. It went into the black. As near as anyone can tell, there's a bar down the right field line. It went into the bar, man. Freaking Caglione. 75 college home runs. So we got that going on tonight. But Tennessee right now, my money's on Tennessee to get through this thing. Of course, former Texas Tech pitching coach Frank Anderson, the pitching coach for Tony Vitello in Tennessee. So kind of got a rooting interest there if you got nothing else going on. All right, Jacob on Twitter, thanks to United Supermarkets. Willie Mays to be different. Honus Wagner. How can you go Honus Wagner? Best I've ever watched live. Pete Rose, favorite Will Clark. Will the Thrill. I was never a huge Will Clark fan. For different reasons. Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. I was a huge Pete Rose fan growing up as a kid. One of my favorites all time. Honus Wagner. We're just going to go Honus. We're going to go Knight, Cap Anson, and Honus Wagner. How can you argue against me? Honus Wagner and Cap Anson. And, of course, Tinkers, Devers to Chance. Why would we not throw them in there? The Federal League guys in 1912. Danny's on YouTube. Thank you, listening from you. Danny, thank you. Glad you're out there, man. Share it with some folks. Invite folks in. Let's talk a little baseball. Your favorite baseball players. Who do you consider the greatest of all time? I'm a Willie Mays guy. Always been. Power, average. Anything you needed to do, Willie Mays could do it. 660 home runs. A ton of outfield assist. Played in an era that was at different times good offense, bad offense, or otherwise, but still had to do it against a lot of the greats that, for my money, growing up and even as adult, baseball fan, connoisseur, or otherwise, I still believe firmly Willie Mays is the gold standard, the greatest baseball player ever to live. Now, in my lifetime, and he was in my lifetime. Come on, I'm old. I remember Willie Mays in a Mets uniform. Come on now. When we get into greatest baseball player in my lifetime, what do we want to do? Like when I was 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, how do you want to play that? So you guys give me some of that. We can do greatest living player, which if Hank Aaron's still alive, and I believe he is, he's the greatest living player in my opinion. So we have all that, and then the whole, does anybody really care about Chris Beard or Mark Adams at this point? I think I saw the note last night. Beard now in Oxford has 7 former Tech people on the staff. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. We will. So all those things tonight, thanks to United Supermarkets, you guys can chime in on the chat line, just like Michael right there, who gives us a great yo, Adrian. Yeah, this is my turtle. I got 2 turtles here. I got Cuff and I got Link. Get it? Cuff and Link, 2 turtles, Cuff and Link. Yes. Maybe you don't like turtles. All right, we'll look at something else. Yo. Best baseball players, greatest Major League Baseball players of my lifetime. Where do you want to start? Tuffy Rhodes. No. Brad, I appreciate WAR stats, and that tells us Babe Ruth, but I'm with you. Greatest baseball player all time, Willie Mays. Ultimate 5-tool player. And I understand exactly wins against replacement stats and everything else with Babe Ruth, but we have to, numbers without context are meaningless, and I'm not talking about you, Brad. But we have, and Brad's a great baseball player in his own right, and a great baseball mind in his own right. We kind of came of age together in the baseball world of learning about something called sabermetrics. Bill James, sabermetrics, and a few other things that developed in the 80s. And that's why we love playing rotisserie baseball and fantasy baseball. So I'm outing you, Brad, on actually being a friend of mine. But a lot of the stats, as we go back to apply them in the 20s, dead ball era, 20s, 30s, I would say pre-World War II and then post-World War II, some of those become you can't extrapolate that to today's game, post-expansion in 60 and other things. And they've come up with some numbers, and Brad knows this, that we've tried to, era norm, by the way, I mean normalization across that. It's impossible to do. Babe Ruth was great. Babe Ruth was incredible in his era and probably would have been incredible in any other era. And look at what the game asked Willie Mays to do in the 50s and 60s, what the game demanded of Willie Mays and what he gave it. And he gave it everything it demanded. Had the game demanded more home runs and more strikeouts, he would have done that. Had it been a game that demanded go hit 330 as opposed to 303 or whatever, 301, whatever his career lifetime average ended up being, he could have done that. But what he did is he gave a complete game at a time in the 50s and 60s that demanded a complete game. That Mickey Mantle couldn't give that complete game. Duke Snider, we go back, and talk about, Willie Mickey and the Duke Snider could not give that complete game. Only Mays could give you that complete game in the era. And then we look at the teams he played with. There were the Giants for the most part, obviously. The players he had around him, what they could do, and different things that he didn't have to do. So that's one of the great things I love about baseball is that we go to look at individual players. We look at them in the era. We look in the context of the era. Then we look at them in the context what the game asks, and then we look at them in the context of the team they played on. Now you can't do that as much because players change teams so much. They're never really in the same incubation bubble as a baseball player that guys like Mantle and Mays and Snider and others were during that time frame. That's just the way it is. Was he the last living New York Giant? I don't know that to be true. In fact, I probably wager that he wasn't. Now he was the oldest living member of the Hall of Fame. I believe Luis Aparicio for the Go-Go Sox of the 1950s is now the oldest living Hall of Fame player. I believe that's right. Off the Chicago White Sox teams of the 50s, that my dad's favorite team growing up in Olton, Texas, because you only got a couple of games, on TV a month, NBC Game of the Week. You got radio, so he could pick up radio and picked up Chicago broadcast and became a huge fan of Nellie Fox, Aparicio, the Go-Go Sox of the 50s. They were a great era. And he hated the Yankees. So another reason to love my dad and Coach Hyatt. I don't know that he was the last living New York Giant. I'm willing to bet he's probably not. So we pose the question tonight, who do you think is the greatest baseball player of all time? I say Willie Mays. You can say anybody you want to. And you're probably going to be right, more or less. That's what we love about baseball. It's a talking sport, as we say. Brought to you tonight by Gators Bayou, where you can watch some baseball up there tonight, 98th Slide. Also by our friends at McAlpin Chiropractic. And, of course, United Supermarkets, allowing whether you're on Twitter or X, like that is, or on YouTube, or whether you're on Facebook, doesn't matter. You guys can get your comments and everything else. Let's talk some baseball as we go through tonight. And for those who are late arriving, we threw out the question with Mark Adams reuniting with Chris Baird there in Oxford, Mississippi, where if you ever have sweet tea on the square in Oxford, Mississippi, you'll probably never have sweet tea again because it'll never taste right. Do you even care? Crisco's Mickey Mantle. The Mickey Mantle that would have been pre-knee injury 51, where Joe DiMaggio comes to him in the outfield after he tears up his knee, has said two words to him all year and says, "Hey, kid, stay down. They're bringing the stretcher out." That Mantle, the Mantle that's not partying until 4 a.m. before BP, well, yeah, he didn't have BP. Just kidding. Maybe. Could have been. Mickey Mantle's more of a could have been. Mickey Mantle is the guy who got more done. Obviously, Hall of Fame career, great. I'm not gonna do the Josh Hamilton deal with this one tonight on that. Anyhow, Mickey Mantle, as great as he was, left chicken on the bone. So that's why I take Mantle. I put him below Mays on that. Great, insular, great, legend, all that stuff. But I would put Mantle beyond that because Mantle robbed himself of a couple of different things, but the injury robbed him of speed. Mantle had great speed. Mantle had Mays' speed. He was damn fast. And after the knee injury and everything else, that just wasn't really a component of the game. And then it's hard to run when you can't see where second base is until the third inning when your eyes clear up. So I would have Mantle probably in my top 5, top 10 if we were doing something. Changes all the time for me. We've already talked about Ruth. Why don't have it there on the Beard Adams stuff? I don't care. Tech upgraded with Grant. That's right, U.S. Grant, man. CJ going with Mays and Hank Aaron. Yeah, Hank Aaron probably definitely top 5. Aaron may be the absolute 100% baseball poster child for great, insanely good, very good. Okay, insanely very good for a long time. You know, not bashing, 40 home runs every year, but, going 20 years and what is he never hit more than 42, 42? I can't remember what the number is. Damn it, Walker, this is where you're supposed to jump in on some of this stuff. The consistency of Aaron is what blows my mind on how good he was for so long. Where does Ted Williams fall? Well, his body fell over here, and then his head fell over here when they cut it off and put it in a ice bath. Williams would obviously be among the greats. If we were talking just singular hitter, greatest hitter, not total. He was not an indifferent fielder. He was good enough. He was a very good athlete, obviously, and a hell of a marine aviator. But when you go and look at some of the different things that we analyze on average on a couple of different things, then he gets taken down. But with Ted Williams, I would say greatest hitter. You'd have a hard time arguing me out of he's not within the top 1, 2, 3 greatest hitters of all time. Stan Musial, I think he should be in there, greatest hitter that we look at. By the way, we're not even talking about some of the pitchers over the years. That the greatest living baseball player right now is probably a pitcher. If he's still alive, and I think he is. See how Williams, and he was not a singular, just a hitter, obviously, but not the speed, not the overall power. And he would tell you, well, if I'd known I was supposed to do that, I would have done it. And then he would cuss you out. So I'd drop him down just a little bit on that. And by the way, when I'm talking about dropping down some of these people, we're dropping them down into, only like the greatest people to ever live and play baseball. Joseph is on Facebook. Thanks to United Supermarkets. He's jumping in. Willie could do it all. Beard and Adams, Misery Loves Company. They don't have a very high ceiling at Mississippi State. They're at Ole Miss, Joe. They're not even in Stark Vegas. They're in Oxford, baby. They're at Ole Miss. Hotty toddy, gosh almighty, who the hell are we? Bim bam, flim flam. Ole Miss, by damn. I'm glad you brought up Williams, though. Only on the tertiary aspect of speed and some fielding would I keep him from being all-time greatest of all time. Greatest hitter, if we want to have that discussion, we could probably have that discussion. Can we talk about Sandy Koufax right now? Is he still alive? Double check. I know Brad's still watching. I think Sandy Koufax still alive. If he is, he may be my greatest living baseball player right now. And he pitched not in my lifetime. He retired before I was born in '69. And with Lane Kiffin, there is a journalist's dream. Absolutely it is. Who's still alive, David? Nolan Ryan, top 10 pitcher all time. So if Koufax still alive, man, it'd be hard for me to not have him as the greatest living player. Retired because of arm injuries before I was born. So if we go into 88 years old, yeah. That's one of my favorite scenes. Anybody watch anybody like the movie For Love of the Game? Anyone? Kevin Costner, Kelly Preston, God rest her soul. Anyone watch the movie For Love of the Game? Koufax, Pearl Jam. He's down there at spring training. He's on the phone with her. And do you know who's in the bleachers today? No. Do you know? Sandy Koufax. Sandy Koufax in the bleachers. And then he has to explain to her, no, it's the right guard. It's right guard. Anyhow, yeah, Koufax probably, in my opinion, best living baseball player right now. All right, so lifetime. For me, lifetime begins in 69. This gets really interesting. Glad you guys are along for the ride. Hopefully you guys are sharing this on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. That's all I ask you guys to do. Not much. And then we love the replay people. Hundreds and hundreds of replay people on all the various platforms. You guys are awesome. If you want to ask questions, fire away when we archive it at theraiderland.com. You can get us on Twitter at Ryan Hyatt Media, or you can just call David Collier personally at KMAC, KAMC 28, KMAC ABC affiliate in Lubbock. He'll be there tonight, probably around 8:30 or 9. He'll get back in. Just call him there at the station and ask him questions, you know. So we get into my era of greatest baseball player of my lifetime. Wow. Michael Jack Schmidt. Nolan Ryan, yeah. Dale Murphy, who's not in the Hall of Fame and should be. Good Lord. Not going to put A-Rod out there. Not going to put Derek Jeter, the captain. Not going to do that. In fact, I can't give you a guy. Do we want to talk about Barry Bonds? How do we handle Barry Bonds? Pete Rose in my lifetime, CJ, 100%. Johnny Bench in my lifetime. I could give you Johnny Bench. Hell, I could just put the entire Reds starting lineup from 75 to 77 and draw a name out of a hat. Do we mention Pete Rose? We love Pete Rose. Should be in the Hall of Fame. Griffey Jr., yeah. 100% Griffey Jr. Steve Carlton. Great. Ron Geary. Greg Maddux in my lifetime. Bonds better than most. Bonds was also good before he started enlarging his head and doing different things, you know. And I'll just go with David Wells. It's easier for me to go back in a way and look at players from 40 and 50 and 60 years ago and come up with a definitive answer than it is sometimes for me to sit there. Chipper. Got to do the Skip Carey. And I can't do Skip Carey. Coming up after the game today, I can't do Skip Carey. Night of the Gargoyle, and then it's an Andy Griffith marathon. This is more Pete Van Wieren than it is Skip Carey. Chipper at the plate. Yeah, War says Bonds. I know what the stats say. I got eyes, you got eyes. I know what the stats say. I know how many times he was intentionally walked. I know what he did. Bob Gibson pitched in my lifetime, but not enough for me to say Bob Gibson in my lifetime. Ozzie was great. I've told the story before. One of the most amazing things I ever saw. Astrodome, summer 1993. Ozzie Smith taking batting practice deep within the bowels of the Astrodome, calling out where he wanted the pitches, hitting it exactly where he wanted. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. One of the greatest days of my baseball life, being there calling the 1993 Texas High School Coaches Association All-Star Game, which was littered with future college baseball and Major League stars, and then the Astros and the Cardinals play that night. Darryl Kyle, his first complete game, by the way. I think it was a 3-1 win. You might be able to look it up. Carter rookie year. Bonds and the Thrill and Earthquake series. Two good ones, yeah. So yeah, it's almost easier for me to go back than look at the guys in my lifetime, because when you watch them as a youngster, you get clouded. I think you have personal whatever that maybe clouds your judgment just a little bit. I mean, maybe the greatest player I ever saw in my lifetime is Jim Sundberg because I wanted to be Jim freaking Sundberg. No, maybe not. I had a Sundberg glove and a Johnny Bench glove. Still have it. I got the Johnny Bench glove right there, down there. You can't see it, but it's down there. Golly, there were some good players during the 70s and 80s. And I'm not kidding when I say like Mike Schmidt, who I think really gets overlooked, doesn't get talked about enough these days. Yeah, you cannot forget Sabo with the glasses. Whatever percent. I don't know, man. Underrated, rated Oxford and 24 Tech football season. No Kool-Aid drinking. Hold on. Underrated Oxford and the 24. Okay. So John is saying what underrated. Oxford, Mississippi is a cool place. I spent 2 different trips there and liked it a lot. Wanted to be Donnie baseball growing up. Not to be confused with Donnie Glasses, Don Williams. Frank Robinson was a bad man, Triple Crown in a pitcher era. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Frank Robinson was a bad man. He was good. Woo. How good were the Orioles in the 70s that we don't realize at the beginning of the decade and even at the end of the decade? They're freaking good. Earl Weaver, really good. You know, really freaking good. I think I grew up in the last great era of Major League Baseball as a kid in the 70s and 80s. And holy crap, we've got a Hall of Famer. This is why we don't get out too early some nights. We're about to go green, white checker here on the daily broadcast, brought to you by the wonderful people at Gators Bayou, Boot City, and of course we're in the Arctic Air Studios. Look at him there, Lance Liner, Texas. Hi, Hall of Famer, Panhandle legend. Barry Bonds is like defending OJ as a great runner, but the numbers, he says. Yep. 298, 762 homers. I know the numbers. How do I not say Barry freaking Bonds is the greatest player in my lifetime? How do I not do it? How do I not give you that? That he got intentionally walked every other time he came to the plate for about 3 years. How do I not do that? Lance, I don't know. I don't know. But then I give you, Mike Schmidt. Collier with Mariano Rivera. Yeah, we got used to him just being so good that it became boring. I think they're in the 90s and the early 2000s, and obviously he was on some really good Yankee teams at the time, but just boring. Ichiro, another one, incredible average. All he could do. Okay. You know who I put Ichiro with? Ted Williams. I would put Ichiro and Ted Williams in the same classification of, and Ichiro a better fielder than Williams. Ichiro could freaking throw the ball. So, golly, did I just move Ichiro past Ted Williams? Did I? I don't know. I mean that from a hitting standpoint, basically in the classification there, David, that I would look at those two in different eras and say kind of the same guy, but Ichiro probably a better fielder, But he didn't shoot down a bunch of North Koreans and Chinese and Russians. So there you go. George Brett, all he did, he won batting titles in 3 different decades, 70s, 80s, and 90s. Yeah, he sucks. Early in his career, 70s into the early 80s, pretty good fielder. Not great, pretty good. He had a lot of great third basemen in the American League back then. Buddy Bell, Craig Nettles. He had some really good third basemen. Danny Ainge, Toronto. I've got a Danny Ainge Blue Jays card and a Danny Ainge Celtics card. Why would I not? Danny Ainge. I think he wore 44 for the Blue Jays as well. All right, we'll go 3 more minutes only because I love talking baseball, but at a certain point we got to shut it down because we got to do stuff tomorrow, and it will be Thursday, either or Thursday on the website, theraiderland.com. I want you guys to share this. If you see our clients, if you see our sponsors out there on the interweb and the internets, wonderful people like Gators, McAlpin, Chiropractic, Boots City, hey, just hit them up when you see them and say, thanks for supporting Raiderland. Thanks for being out there. That means so much. The next thing you can do is just share what we do. Put it out there. Grow it. You know? And as I said, we love the replay people. If you're watching on the replay, you can hit us on Twitter at Ryan Hyatt Media. But everybody, whether you are watching on YouTube or not, please go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our insane goal is 500 subscribers. I don't even think we're halfway there. I don't care. A crazy goal. You guys are going to have to help us get there by inviting your friends and doing that. I have faith in you. I know you're going to do that. It's not hard at all. Danny Ainge. So this is where you must still be at work. No two ways about it. All right, you guys are the best. We've enjoyed the hell out of the discussion tonight. See us on the website, theraiderland.com. See you tomorrow.